Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Believe in best.
Coming up tonight on Our News, the Attorney General says Cabinet may discuss marijuana as early as next week. What's next for the emergency orders? Officials defend the response to Sunday's blaze off Balfour Avenue, and a man honors his mom after a year of loss. Welcome to Our News, and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, Cabinet is set to discuss marijuana legislation as early as next week and bring a bill to Parliament very soon, according to Attorney General Carl Bethel. Kyle Joaquin has more.
We're trying to see whether or not we're in a position to bring it forward either this week or the next week for Cabinet to approve at the end of this process.
Before the end of the budget year, next month, government is expected to bring its medicinal cannabis bill and other associated bills to Parliament, according to the Attorney General. It's one of the final steps after years of consultation and research. Bethel says after consultation on the first draft, some recommendations cannot be implemented right now, but Cabinet is set to discuss as early as next week after it passes through the Law Reform Commission.
Put all of the different suggestions that we think are going to be workable, because not everything suggested is workable at the present time, into the redraft of the bill. That will then be submitted to me, I'm told, by the end of tomorrow afternoon. And then on Saturday or Sunday, I'm going to organize a meeting of the Ministerial Committee, Subcommittee of Cabinet.
Back in February, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis said government was working on a bill to legalize medical marijuana in the Bahamas. However, the Attorney General today hinted at a wider scope.
We've had meetings now, consultative meetings over Zoom with potential entrepreneurs, investors potentially, persons or Bahamians who are living abroad, who already have businesses in terms of the dispensation or sale of cannabis edibles or other things like that. So we had both Bahamians who are resident here and Bahamians resident abroad.
The Christian Council, Pharmacy Association, and medical professionals were consulted. Bethel says the development of a hemp industry was also discussed.
Anything that has THC within the cannabis plant of more than 0.3% is considered psychoactive and therefore within the remit of the Dangerous Drugs Act. Anything with less than 0.3% THC is not psychoactive. It does not meet the standard of being a dangerous drug and is available and will be available in due course.
The Bahamas National Commission on Marijuana has recommended the decriminalization of up to 1 ounce of the substance. We asked Bethel whether that's one of the recommendations government would be on board with.
We will see what we will see when we get there, okay? I don't want to make predictions until I see the final package.
Now again, the AG said Cabinet can discuss it as early as next week, with legislation to be complete sometime soon. For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Attorney General Carl Bethel says the Prime Minister is set to meet with his team of medical professionals to decide the way forward for the country's emergency orders. The current state of emergency expires on May 23rd, but Bethel says no decision has been made on what happens next.
The Cabinet has not made a determination, and I raised the issue. Prime Minister indicated that he wishes to have some serious discussions with the medical community and get their advice. He's not prepared to commit to any particular course of action until he has done so. So I understand that sometime this week he'll probably be doing that.
Bethel says although Bahamians know the protocol, guidance is still needed to ensure people are protected from COVID-19. But he says there are other ways to do that.
One way or the other, whether it's by way of a statute, by way of perhaps some amendments to pre-existing laws, if we could facilitate that. We'll do whatever we have to do in order to protect the Bahamian people. And it's just a question now of what the best advice is from the medical community as a whole.
Well, House Speaker Halson Moultrie is getting support from his fellow independent Member of Parliament, Centerville MP Reece Chipman. Jasmine Brown reports.
I just want to thank God for giving him the courage to even attempt to ask questions of parliamentarians in the position that he's in.
In Parliament on Wednesday, Moutrie criticized the Minnis administration and accused the executive of dragging the Parliament around like a dinghy boat. He also took issue with the cabinet making decisions without involving him. The House was suspended prematurely on Wednesday morning after Moutrie accused the government of mishandling protocols and playing games with people's lives as it related to the House clerk testing positive for COVID-19 last week. There was also a brief showdown between Moutrie and Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis after the Speaker demanded the PM give an account to the Bahamian people.
I definitely support the fact that he would have step up his game in terms of his independence. I would have liked to have seen it sooner, but better late than never.
Progressive Liberal Party leader Philip Brave Davis has suggested that the deteriorating relationship between Moutrie and the government is interfering with the people's business. Chipman says there is definitely a breakdown in communication.
What we can see, and from our observation, I think it is definitely a breakdown in communication and, of course, relationship between the House Speaker and, of course, the member for Kalani.
Both Chipman and Moutrie have resigned from the Free National Movement. Moutrie's resignation came in early February. In his resignation letter, Moutrie said his personal convictions collided with continued affiliation with the organization. Moutrie has said he intends to serve as an independent member until the House is either prorogued for the purpose of electing a new speaker or dissolved for the general election. Now, Chipman called Wednesday's proceedings in Parliament historic and unprecedented, setting the tone for holding leaders accountable. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
And officials are defending the fire response and remediation amid claims that water pressure was too low to fight the fire at Balfour Avenue on Sunday. Berthany McDermott has that.
It's not serious by any extent because, the technology out there nowadays allow for tankers and additional water supply. And so, this is nothing that, this is not a hurdle that cannot be overcome.
National Security Minister Marvin Dames says low water pressure can be expected but sought to downplay the issue in relation to Sunday's fire. Yesterday, the Water and Sewage Corporation hit back at allegations stating that water supply wasn't the issue. Rather, a high water pressure would have been preferred. The statement reads, as has been expressed by the corporation previously after major fires, our New Providence water supply system was not designed to provide fire flows. It continues, fire flow systems usually have a design capacity in excess of 1,000 gallons per minute. However, only a limited amount of our transmission mains have that operational capacity. When pressed on the matter, the police commissioner said fire hydrants doesn't fall under his remit. He did, however, say that in the event of water issues, there is a backup plan.
So if there's no water, they'll go to the one that they have bore wells. So that is the backup plan should the situation with water fails.
WSC added the corporation will continue to work with central government and fire services for the installation of groundwater fire wells in strategic locations for firefighting purposes. Well, the police commissioner also sought to defend the fire department amidst claims that trucks ran out of water during that major fire.
The fire truck carried 800 gallons of water, I think, and then there's one that was a tanker. Okay? You have a fire, you're pumping that water, the water's going to run out. And we said already we addressed the issue with the hydrant. So, major fire like that, yes, the trucks will run out. The fire occurred around 3 p.m. Sunday. Residents and onlookers complained that firefighters ran out of water, even claiming that the truck came to the scene without water. 6 homes were completely destroyed by the fire, while 4 received extensive damage. Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Well, clouds moved in over the capital today. Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with the latest.
Thanks, Christina, and thanks everybody for joining us for our first look at weather tonight. Warm and muggy conditions outside our studios as temperatures soared near the 90-degree mark, and we are still warm this evening at 78 outside our studios. Warm conditions, your winds are out of the south at 6 knots, and your feels-like temperature a warm and muggy 78 degrees Fahrenheit. Satellite view, that ridge of high pressure persistent over us, and that's continuing to drive a south to southeasterly wind across our area, bringing in those warm temperatures. We had a couple of isolated showers across the northern portions of the Bahamas and We will continue to see 1 or 2 spotty showers tonight. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, a closer look at housing challenges in East Grand Bahama. The police commissioner lends a hand to Sunday's fire victims, and a little later, a man copes with the loss of his mother to COVID-19 this Mother's Day. That's coming up when our news returns.
Every new season of On the Record, we push the limits. Venture into unknown territory. We take our cameras into places unseen before. We share the stories and experiences that affect us all. And now it's time for Season 5. On the Record, Thursdays at 8 p.m. on RTV Cable Channel 212 and streaming live on Facebook on the R News Bahamas page.
A 21-year-old man was today charged with the April 4th murder of Anthony Roll at Nassau Street. John Elliott was also charged with possession of a firearm with intent to endanger the lives of Ebenezer Frazier and Dexter Harris after a game of dominoes that turned deadly. Police were called to Nassau Street, where they met a man suffering from a gunshot wound to the abdomen on April 4th. The victim was allegedly playing a game of dominoes when the gunman approached him and opened fire. Elliott was not required to enter a plea to the charges today and was remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections. He returns to court July 22nd for the presentation of a voluntary bill of indictment. Well, Police Commissioner Paul Roll today making a small gesture he hopes can ease the burden for Sunday's fire victims, with care packages delivered to the new Goodwill Church of God to be distributed to the families affected by Sunday's blaze.
Over the last year, since the inception of COVID, persons were falling on hard times, and we have partnered with persons in the community, business people, to help relieve some of that. And today, this is just a continuation of that. We have put together our own resources now and try to do our little bit.
6 homes were destroyed by the fire, while 4 were left with extensive damage. New Goodwill Church of God senior pastor Bishop Darren Wood says the donation will go a long way to meet some of the immediate needs of those affected by the fire.
It's very important because that's a part of our mandate, to be able to take care of those who do not have for themselves, those who cannot fend for themselves. The church is supposed to rise to the occasion, and we've heard it on numerous occasions. Persons are asking, well, where's the church? Where's the church? But a lot of times we do what we have to do because the Bible declares that we're not to let the left hand know what the right hand is doing. And when we give our alms, we don't do it out in the public. We do it so that when we do get the honor and glory, God gets it, and then we'll see the return somewhere along the line.
Well, after months of waiting, some Sweetings Key residents could receive modular homes by next week. That coming from DRA Managing Director Kay Forbes Smith. Jillian Gray has that.
Housing continues to be a challenge in East Grand Bahama nearly 2 years after Hurricane Dorian battered and destroyed people's homes. When we visited Sweetings Key, we saw half a dozen tents erected where people have been living for quite some time.
It was not easy for persons who had to live in tent, those with no water, no light. It was just hard.
That problem, according to DRA Managing Director Catherine Forbes Smith, will be solved, at least for a few families, by next week.
5 persons have already been selected. They're basically the persons who are still living in a tent, and the basis for those modular units are being constructed simultaneously while you're erecting the modular units as well. So we have to bring a telehandler on the key, and we have to lift those units and put them on the base.
Local activist Jaquan Swain isn't impressed. He says that promise has been made and broken before.
I don't like when, we see this misleading media approach to say, they're getting their relief, they're doing well. No, they're not. They're still in tents. They still can't bathe every day. They still have to share one tent with no privacy with a whole family. And then even up to today right now, there's still no modular units up.
This 2-bed, 1-bath modular home is only one of 14 homes that's complete. These homes are being earmarked by the DRA to give to Sweetings Key residents. Now, some residents say that there were claims of theft, but they refuted that.
That's an ongoing police investigation, and it was regarding the some solar panels and batteries that was removed from the site where the solar poles and other materials work.
As you can hear behind me, there's work going on the modular homes, but we spoke to one of the residents, Leonard Feaster, who actually lived on this island for most of his life and rode out the storm during Hurricane Dorian, who said that the homes are going to have a minimal impact on the residents who are still reeling from Hurricane Dorian.
That's something just come along. That should have been going a long time. I mean, done set up and everything, but that slump can run. That look like that ain't coming to head to me. It's the people trying to get in the home now.
The domes and modular homes donated for hurricane survivors still come at a cost to the DRA.
Erect these domes because by the time you formulate the base for the domes and then you have to pay the labor to erect them, it's not an inexpensive venture.
Reporting from Grand Bahama for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
When Our News comes back from the break, the new Deputy Information Commissioner is ready to get to work. A little later, how a man is turning loss into a beacon of hope this Mother's Day. And the latest from our baseball and basketball stars. The details when Our News returns.
Did you know that there are more than 5 ways to pay your Rev bill? Number 1, save yourself the hassle and sign up for e-billing. Have your monthly bill paid automatically. All you have to do is call or email your Rev agent to sign up. Number 2, visit any Alive location. Our agents are standing by and ready to assist you. Have your account information ready. Number 3, use MyRev at my.rev.bs. To create an account, all you need is an account number and an email address. Number 4, there's an app for that. There are a number of apps that you can use to pay your Rev bill like you do other utilities, including the MyAlive app and the MoneyMax app. Number 5, pay by phone. Call our hotline at 601-2200 or toll free at 242-300-2200 and follow the prompts to enter your account number and credit card information, all using your touch-tone telephone. 100% private, 100% safe. That's all, folks. Rev, you and us, together.
This is Our News. Welcome back. Former Assistant Director of Legal Affairs Shane Miller receiving his instruments of appointment today as he begins his role as the Deputy Information Commissioner. It comes days after government opened the Freedom of Information Office.
Information itself is power. And the whole purpose of freedom of information is to bring that power to the people itself, and not just an agency of government, but to the people itself. And so we intend to definitely bring the power to the people.
Attorney General Carl Bethel expressing confidence in Miller, who made a name for himself in the Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Legal Affairs over the past 30 years.
Mrs. Bonamy, the Director of Legal Affairs, can corroborate everything I say, that whenever there's a difficult problem that confronted the ministry, a difficult legal issue, something where we needed competent legal advice, Mr. Shane Miller was the go-to person.
Opposition leader Philip Davis says he was caught by surprise over this week's announcement that the Information Commissioner and Deputy Information Commissioner have been filled, especially as he says he was not consulted.
First of all, I was totally surprised by the announcement. And that surprise is rooted in the fact that no lawful appointment of the Commissioner of Information could have been made without consultation with me. The law says that that appointment has to be made by the Governor General after consultation after the recommendation of the Prime Minister, after consultation with the Prime Minister, after the Leader of the Opposition. I was not consulted on that appointment.
The appointments come as the government seeks to bring the long-delayed Freedom of Information Act fully into force. After a number of delays, the office, located on the top floor of the Yandy building on University Drive, opened on Monday. However, it will be another 3 to 6 months before the office begins providing services to the public. Well, Buddy and the King stay red hot as a couple of our minor league players make their season debuts in baseball. Marcellus Hall has more.
All right, thanks, Christina, and welcome to our Sports on a Thursday, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. They say there's nothing like playing with house money. After all, you got nothing to lose. That seems to be the case with the Sacramento Kings and Buddy Hield. Nothing to lose at this point, no danger of getting to the playoffs. They're playing their best basketball of the season. Last night, looking to make it 4 in a row. Let's take a look and see exactly how they did. Don't look now, but Buddy Hield and the Sacramento Kings suddenly red hot as the NBA season winds down. Already out of playoff contention, the Kings seem to have found their groove, making it 4 wins in a row last night. They took down the Indiana Pacers 104-93. Buddy, in 40 minutes played, would finish up with 16 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals. Kings with the day off tonight. They play again on Friday when they host the San Antonio Spurs. Meanwhile, DeAndre Ayton and the Phoenix Suns also looking to stay hot, playing on back-to-back nights after an overtime game the night before. Suns looking sluggish as they get pounded 135-103. DeAndre, 7 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal and a block in his 26 minutes on the floor. Suns still holding on to first place in the West despite the loss. They play again on Friday as well when they take on the New York Knicks. And the minor league baseball season is now underway. Bahamian Tanaj Thomas making his debut for the Greensboro Grasshoppers yesterday. He would go 3 innings, finish with 7 strikeouts. He would also give up a home run, but otherwise a solid outing. Grasshoppers get the win 8-4 over the Hickory Crawdads. Chavez Young also in action on Wednesday. He went 2 for 4 at the plate, had 3 RBIs in his AA debut with the New Hampshire Fisher Cats. They beat Portland 11-2. And there it is, your check on sports for you this Thursday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you, Christina. It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
Is there rain ahead? Greg is in the Weather Center with the answer. Plus, a man prepares to mark the first Mother's Day without his mom. That story after the break.
Did you know that there are more than 5 ways to pay your Rev bill? Number 1, save yourself the hassle and sign up for e-billing. Have your monthly bill paid automatically. All you have to do is call or email your Rev agent to sign up. Number 2, visit any Alive location. Our agents are standing by and ready to assist you. Have your account information ready. Number 3, use MyRev at my.rev.bs. To create an account, all you need is an account number and an email address. Number 4, there's an app for that. There are a number of apps that you can use to pay your Rev bill like you do other utilities, including the MyAlive app and the MoneyMax app. Number 5, pay by phone. Call our hotline at 601-2200 or toll free at 242-300-2200 and follow the prompts to enter your account number and credit card information, all using your touch-tone telephone. 100% private, 100% safe. That's all, folks. Rev, you and us, together.
Welcome back to our news. There may be some rain ahead. Greg is back in the Weather Center with the details.
Thanks again, Christine, and a happy Thursday evening, everybody. That high-pressure system continues to dominate our weather. That's generating some very warm conditions. Slightly breezy across the southeast Bahamas, but those warm temperatures will continue through the rest of the evening as a high-pressure system slowly backs out towards the east. That's paving the way for frontal boundary across northern Florida. We should get that near sometime by tomorrow evening into Saturday. So some showers possible across the northwest Bahamas, even an isolated thunderstorm expected in the forecast. Boating conditions for the northwest Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. Your winds will be out of the south to southwest at 10 to 15 knots, seas running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean, all ahead of that frontal boundary. And in the central and southeastern islands, a southeast to southerly flow, 10 to 15 knots expected, seas running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. Low tide will be at 11:38 tonight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Tuesday. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe night, everybody. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Greg. A Nassau Village man is preparing to spend his first Mother's Day without his mother after she died from COVID-19 last year. However, Jared Higgs tells us the man is finding hope after her death.
When Mario Woodside's mother died from COVID-19 last year, he says he lost the closest person to him.
She was my best friend. I'm not going to lie to you at all. She truly was my best friend.
Woodside's mother, Elizabeth Clinton, contracted the virus and died on October 9th. His aunt and grandfather also succumbed to COVID-19. The father of one says his mother's death was a huge blow. She was a big supporter of people going through the most difficult times.
She was like the cheerleader for the hopeless, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, and she would just give hope to people that just didn't have any hope at all, you see? So that's what inspires me still to this day.
Woodside is remembering his mother by hosting a prayer breakfast and meal drive in his native Nassau Village. He says his mother was devoted to the community, only shopping at local stores and always looking to uplift the downtrodden. He says people mourned her death for months as news spread to those who were so used to seeing her. He says that's a big reason why he's remembering her the way he is.
I realized her fact, especially with the females, was very powerful. So I said I would have to do a prayer breakfast for the Nassau Village community in honor of her. To honor the women inside that are still here, to give their roses too, you see?
According to the Ministry of Health, 211 people have died from COVID-19. Another 25 deaths are under investigation. Woodside says his mother's death took a toll on him, but he has drawn inspiration from her life. He says he's throwing his hat in the ring to be Nassau Village's next MP. As a businessman from the area with 17 years' experience, he feels he has the bona fides to represent the best interests of the people. What advice would his mother give him?
Put God first. Always put God first.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
Thanks, Jared, and thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas. A new episode of On the Record with Jerome Sawyer starts right now.